lotion on the feet today.
All right. Ashy but classy. Is that a thing?
Ashy but classy.
Welcome to SacVibes. We are the community engagement team, and we're here to educate, engage, and empower. I'm your host, Danielle.
I'm your co-host, Lynette.
And go ahead and say hi, Greg.
Sacramento, what's up? How you doing?
We're doing.
I'm doing, sad because this is our last episode of the season.
Oh, yeah. Right.
It's been a good season, but I'm looking forward to next season.
Yeah, lots of lessons learned, lots of fun stuff going on. But I'm excited, too, for what we're going to bring on next time when we come back.
And just for y'all watching at home, we're just going on hiatus for the summer. We have a lot of events coming up. We're going to be getting some good content from our events. We'll come back September strong with some cool stuff for y'all.
Greg, you can do it. You're Superman. You can do it. If anybody can do it, Greg can do it. So what else is going on, Danielle? What's been going on this week?
What else is going on? Well, we started planning for our next mixer. Okay. So I know last week we had talked about our mixer that we held for May, and so we're gearing up for June now. I had a lot of fun at this last mixer. It was at Tap Wine Lounge. We talked about the Forward Together grants, brought by the Neighborhood Development Action Team. We got to, meet folks in D2. I just thought it was a really cool space to get to know, folks who were interested in the grant, but they also wanted to meet city staff.
Yeah, it was good, and we'll get to hear a little bit more about the most important part of the planning project, which is the implementation grant. So we'll hear a little bit about that later. But it was really good to support a business, a small business, whose owner was very supportive and involved in the plan, making sure that it was community-led, community's voices were centered. So shout out to Cynthia Brooks and Candace Brooks from Tap Wine Lounge. Absolutely.
Yeah, and we have these mixers every month, right? So since we started planning for June, we can say that it's going to be themed around Pride, right? And we're also going to be talking about the city's LGBTQ plus history project. So if you want to come learn more about that, meet city staff, please stop by. It will be every third Thursday. So I think this time it's June 20th?
Correct.
Yeah, June 20th. Location to be announced. But follow us on Instagram and all of our other social media accounts, and you will be the first to know where it's going to be. As always, there'll be free food, refreshments, and just good company.
Might have music this time.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Yeah.
We had music last time, but it wasn't DJ Greg,
No, DJ Greg.
And we got to come up with a better name. So community, please let us know. What should we call
DJ Greg?
I don't know. I just feel like it doesn't do you justice.
It's not giving.
I feel like it's interim. You're like the interim DJ Greg, but we need a permanent name. So we'll let community figure out who you are.
Yeah, we'll see.
But council was last night. Super exciting. Just the last couple of weeks. Just some quick updates. We heard from the mayor, kind of his thoughts on the budget and how important it is that we don't balance the budget on the backs of our most marginalized. So it was good to hear that. And so I encourage everyone to follow the budget. It will be adopted by June 11th. So you have very few council meetings to voice your opinion. The time is now.
Yeah, it's kind of wild to me, actually, that June is already approaching. And so these next few city council meetings are going to be dedicated to making sure that it gets finalized and passed by that date. So definitely be sure to stop by City Hall before the end of that so that you can get your voice heard, right? Be involved in the process. And this affects everyone.
Yeah, and speaking of process and funding, although we are having some challenging budget times, our leadership said we want to stay committed to some of our focus areas around District 2. So it would be great to bring on the subject matter expert on those implementation grants. Money Man Mikel.
Come on back. The crowd goes wild.
Yeah, when it comes to money.
I know.
Never been introduced as Money Man Mikel before, but
we come
like
with
that
the names
as
here.
A stage name.
We do. Okay. Pretty good. That's his new name.
Triple M.
Money Man Mikel.
Absolutely. But so this is some good stuff. So we've heard about planning forever. That's what the city does. We plan and we plan and we plan. But now you're saying, what about the implementation?
Mm-hmm.
So can you talk a little bit first, who are you? What do you do at the city? And then talk to us a little bit about the plan and, more importantly, the money.
Thank you, Lynette and Danielle and Greg, for having me on the last episode of the season. Excited to finally make the cut. My name is Mikel Davila, as you all know. I'm with the Office of Innovation and Economic Development. I'm a senior development project manager here. And I co-lead the Neighborhood Development Action Team along with you and Elizabeth Boyd over in Community Development Department's Planning Division. So just excited to be on here to talk today about the Forward Together grant opportunities and the Forward Together Action Plan. This was sort of a 2-year planning process that we embarked on in about 2022, really wanting to center community voices, look at past plans that have happened, because you're right, it's been a lot of planning, and we're the Neighborhood Development Action Team. Folks want to see some action.
That's true.
It's true, and really just put together a tactical document, an action plan that we can put out implementation funding for to work with community on some of those actions. And so the process was great. I just want to give kudos to our partners in Mutual Assistance Network, our community-based organization partner. We had a economic development firm as the consultant in HRNA. Just do some really robust outreach. We did a land use memo, a community profile that summarizes a lot of the data in the neighborhood. We have this action plan, resource guidebook for areas on how to activate the plan. And then we have this really cool like companion piece for folks to talk about the plan and make it more approachable. It's like a CD cover design.
I almost want to take a pause because a lot of the things that you just said in a short period of time are different.
Mm-hmm.
So even when you said Forward Together plan, I've never heard of a city plan that had a name to it. So it's usually Stockton Boulevard plan, West Broadway. So can you talk a little bit about why was the plan named outside of just being a city plan?
Really good question. I think it is the Marysville Del Paso action plan when you come down to it. But I think that branding is what we heard through our community advisors. So we had a group of 14 community advisors in addition to sort of the consultant team to really help guide what goes into this action plan, what it looks like. And that naming, that branding was something I think folks kept. There was this theme going around about like, let's all sing the same song. And so I think that came through in the CD cover brochure.
Okay.
We're talking about like, this is our first hit record as a community in terms of putting this plan out there. And so we're naming it the Forward Together plan. We're done with sort of planning and plans staying on the shelf and really wanting to move forward together, putting our egos aside and really coming up with this comprehensive plan that helps sort of revitalize the corridor and the surrounding neighborhoods.
So one song all together, that seems like music. So how did that come about? Because I feel like that sounds Greg-ish. Whenever I hear music, I'm like, I feel like Greg played a part in that.
DJ Garcia, DJ Greg was a part of the process. So just want to shout out to him. Obviously, shout out to Fatima Malik, who's not only a resident of D2 over in our CDD Community Development Department Planning Division that really helped on this action plan. But I think we were like in the auditorium space of the youth center for one of our advisor meetings, and I think it just gave way because of the like stadium style seating and the theater, that folks just were like, we're tired of planning. We just want basic city services that are in other areas of the city, and we want to focus on binding together as a community and taking action on some of the things we want to see. We've heard of how vibrant Del Paso and Marysville Boulevard were in the past, and folks are just eager to really get back to it. So that's where the money comes in. I think we want to say, hey, we still have to do an action plan. Those things are helpful when you start to attract philanthropic, federal, state dollars. You have this sort of plan that everybody's bought into. But at least at the city, to catalyze and implement some of those actions, we're putting out a $700,000 pilot grant program. So the Neighborhood Development Action Team has dedicated some funding to those actions in the plan. And the grants are out now. And the application window is through August 5th.
So has this been done before? Has this been done before where the city's done a plan and then there was grants to support it, or is this kind of something new?
I mean, at least for the Neighborhood Development Action Team, this is new. We've heard, folks are tired. There's fatigue around planning. There's fatigue around, what is going to come of this plan. Oh, there's grants out there, but you still have to apply for the grant, secure the funding, then go through contracting. So I think this immediate release of funding for this plan is something new.
Okay, so that you said $700,000 is available. Can anyone in the city apply for that, or who is it for?
Yes, good question. I think we'll have more information, graphics up on our website, and there's information since it's out now. But we're really having two tiers of the grant. One tier is for partnerships. We're calling that the Collaborative Impact Grant. We really want robust partnerships to come together and hit on the 4 themes of the action plan, which is live, shop, work, and experience. And so if you look at the pilot grants and you see sort of those themes, $500,000 is being dedicated towards partnerships that hit on multiple actions in all of those themes.
Okay.
We're then reserving $200,000 for sort of folks that maybe aren't involved in a partnership, aren't a high capacity organization, but have a really good idea that addresses the plan. We want to hear those proposals too, and we want to work with those individual artists, entrepreneurs, business owners, organizations that maybe just have one idea. And so on that side, the $200,000, you can apply for a quick $5,000 grant for something, maybe a neighborhood beautification project. Or if you have something a little bit larger, we have a project support grant for between $10,000 and $25,000.
But this is specific for a certain geographic area, right? Not for the whole city. We're being very intentional about where we're focusing these dollars.
Exactly. And so on the Forward Together webpage and on the grant guidelines, you'll see that there's a study area. It's pretty much from I-80 to the Highway 160 along the Del Paso-Marysville corridor, and the east-west boundaries are the railroad tracks.
Okay.
So within that entire area, we will be accepting proposals.
So if I'm a community member, I'm a part of a neighborhood association, and I'm interested in the grants, but I've never actually written a grant, is there any assistance that the city would be willing to provide? And if so, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, really great question. So we have a 2.5-month application window. The grant application just opened up last Friday, May 17th, and it's going to close just before midnight on August 5th. Within that 2.5-month period, I'll be out doing office hours, both in the community and virtually. We're going to be hosting some info sessions, both in person and virtually. And then we want to do like partnership workshops, grant writing workshops, some of these things that for folks that haven't written grants before, hey, how do I access even the $5,000 because I have a good idea? So we really want to partner with folks like the Urban League and some other nonprofits that do have some of this support where we can provide grant writing and partnership matchmaking support.
That is super exciting. And just, I always know sometimes it's helpful to just give some examples to spark some interest. So are there any examples of potential activities or things that the grant would fund?
Yeah, I mentioned beautification and clean and safe. I think a lot of what we heard through the action planning process and through the community and the robust outreach from street teams to community events to surveys is folks just want to see especially the Marysville side. And if you notice, this action plan is called the Marysville Del Paso. So we don't want to forget about Marysville. We know there's a lot of need there. Some beautification, some streetscape improvements, some, if you're in the neighborhood and you have a traffic circle and you want to just beautify that, we want to see those as part of the Quick Win Action grants. I think when it comes to the collaborative impact grants, we're wanting to see things that maybe are a little bit more complex and a little bit longer term, district-wide branding campaigns, improve sort of signage and wayfinding for the district, business incubation, small business development and support, placemaking and event activities. I think those are the kind of things that folks are wanting to see revitalize the corridor, but from the folks that are there, the businesses that are there, so that it benefits them and they have a hand in it.
Where would activations fit into this? Because I know there's a lot of empty lots in that area, and say somebody wanted to do something in one of those lots. What grant should they apply for?
Yeah, really good question. Vacant lots, vacant buildings is a huge thing that came out of the report. It is something that the community, business owners, I think it would really bolster the corridor if those things were activated, not only empty lots, but also vacant buildings. So, I mean, it really depends. If you have a one-time event and there's community support for that, you can go after the action grants, whether that's the quick win for $5,000 or the project support between 10 and 25.
Okay.
For whether it's a parade or a festival or activating an empty lot. And then if you're part of the collaborative impact grant, you can go after that as maybe sort of a series of events that you're looking to maybe do a pop-up, but hopefully that translates into a retail store actually signing a lease with a property owner.
And the process, so for like vacant lots where people are thinking about maybe like a community garden. So that process, if it's a city-owned lot, It goes through planning first, so you would want to contact the planning department, specifically Jason Wiseman. And then from there, you need to have support from your council member. And this goes citywide if you're trying to do a community garden. And then from there, it has to go to council to get approved if you want to do a community garden.
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
I learned today.
Huh.
Yeah.
Sharing
is caring. When I learned, I share the information I learned.
Yes, that's what this is for. We want to be able to share all that information. I think that does remind me of the Forward Together Façade grants that are actually also out right now.
Ooh, some more money?
There's some more money out there.
Tell us about it.
So kudos to Councilmember Town, the Council District Office 2. I think they were big advocates and supporters of Forward Together. Within the Forward Together action plan, you do see a call out for improved facades. We've had 2 rounds of facade program go out already, so this was round 3. It opened.
And so facade is just a fancy storefront.
I was about to ask that.
It's storefront. It's a fancy way to say a storefront.
Before I started working for the city, I was like, "What's a facade?" But yes.
And what's funny is that I'm not fancy, so it doesn't roll off my tongue.
Yeah.
But you're right. It is.
I'm glad you didn't say any acronyms because we do the pie in the face.
Yeah,
He said an acronym earlier,
but
Oh,
then
he
I spelled
did.
it out. I spelled it out quickly.
CDD?
I spelled it out quickly.
I didn't hear you say it.
Where's that pie? Where's the pie? Okay.
I have a
have to
big
put the
sweet tooth,
replay
though,
in
so
there.
You got a
real
budget
quick.
cut.
Okay,
As
but
long
back
as it's banana cream, I will eat that pie.
but back to the facade. Just want to make sure we're all on the same page. So for the facade improvement,
Storefront improvement grant program. Councilmember Tao put out $500,000 for grant awards up to $30,000. So there's between $5,000 and $30,000. It's a matching program. Anything above $5,000, you have to match 50%. What's nice is that there's expanded geographic boundaries as part of round 3. So not only are storefronts all along the Marysville-Del Paso corridor eligible, but there are 9 other corridors. So we're talking Norwood, Eleanor, Rio Linda, Grand, El Camino Ardent. You have these other corridors that businesses that weren't eligible in the past are now eligible for facade program funding. So please reach out to us. We're happy to answer any questions related to both grants, but this is a great investment and a great start from the city to really look at the Forward Together action plan that came from the community and invest in some of those things.
So wait, is the facade grants for more than just D2, or is that all D2?
That's all
all
within
D2.
D2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. It came from a $5 million American Rescue Plan Act funding dedicated to D2.
Okay.
So calling out Paul's, calling out Tory's, calling out Jimmy's. I hope they take advantage of that. Those have been some staples in the community in D2 for a long time, and it would be great to see them apply from some of that facade.
And if I can just say one more thing, I think what we're really trying to do with the pilot grants and with the facade, and I think it's really led by the Community Engagement Office, the culture that y'all have provided, but you even mentioned community gardens and the process it just takes to get there. We do want to award funds for things like community gardens if we can, but also work with community to build capacity in understanding what that process is. So we may award funding, and it is a process to actually get to a community garden, and it may only be a portion of the funding to actually get there. But I think these grants, that is one of the sort of unintended consequences, is to really bring the community forward in some of these processes and help them understand, educate, and even maybe there are process improvements that we can learn from that too. So I think it's a two-way street, and we're hoping that this relationship, the trust building between city and community, continue to grow through these pilot grants.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to point out. So thanks for bringing that up again, Mikel. The equity piece, me being part of this process, I really appreciated what both Mikel and Fatima brought to the table in regards to how they rolled out everything. And it was as equitable as they could be and make it with what they had. So shout out to you guys you didn't really talk about that a lot because you're modest, but he worked really hard to make this process equitable and listening to what people had to say, especially in the implementation of the grants, showing up with money, not just having a plan and disappearing like what's happened before in D2, right? So I just want to shout you out for that.
Yeah.
Even how he put out he asked community how they felt about the grant before it went live. Like, are the questions equitable? Are they simple enough? Should we ask things differently? Is it too much information? So I appreciate that you gave community an opportunity to provide input about the grant and the process of the grant before it actually went live. And then you said 2.5 months. that to me shows that you heard from community. You can't put out a grant and expect us to submit a proposal in 30 days. We need more time. And so thank you for giving community time.
Even just the thought into the name Forward Together. I mean, typically when you see a plan like this, it's like, I mean, I guess someone could make the connection that, oh, this might be important to me because it has the name of their neighborhood. But otherwise, like, what other hook is there in order to make the connection that, oh, like, I need to check this document out? Yeah. But it really puts the people first in the process, and it empowers them, right, to make their own change in their communities, because the city is actually offering money for you to go out and do these projects. It's not just like, oh, here's a plan, go do something about it. Like, here's some advice. Like, no, it's here's some money because y'all have good ideas.
And more
and we
importantly,
want to support you.
Community understanding that when you drive down Del Paso and it turns into Marysville, people still see it as the same. And so saying that we're moving forward together, I think is something super cool.
Yeah, thanks. I think thanks to city leadership, thanks to all of you, my colleagues, my peers that are pushing, asking why, continue to find out if there are ways to be more equitable. Number one. Number two, I think we're still working on it, right? Like, I think there are a lot of sort of access barriers to this grant, whether it's technology access, language access, cultural access, even being the government putting out these grants. Yeah. I think there's a lot we can do around defining our outcomes, outputs, outcomes, and impact, and how that sort of reflects back with an equity lens. So I think we just got to keep working on it and keep on this path. But yeah, I'm proud of the work that we've all done so far on these Forward Together funding opportunities.
Well, thank you so much. And you might see Mikel again, because this is going to be the first time we do this in this area, but then we're moving to Stockton Boulevard. So he'll be back talking about implementation grants for Stockton Boulevard soon.
Also want to shout out Arts and Culture. They gave some money too, right?
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about that. Shout out. Mo Money Meg. We got Mo Money.
Yeah.
We got
Mikel.
Mo Money Mikel. Yes. No, I mean, kudos to them. Thanks, Greg, for bringing it up. It's a $700,000 pot of available funding for the pilot grant. It was originally $500,000 because that's what NDAT could commit, the Neighborhood Development Action Team. But kudos to the Arts and Culture Office that really saw what NDAT was trying to do with Forward Together and came together and said, hey, we want to sort of couple some funding, put $200,000 into this pot to really enhance proposals that are focused on arts, entertainment, culture, creative economies. And so we're so thankful to be working in partnership with Melissa Cerrone, the Office of Arts and Culture, in advocating and increasing this pot to really support our arts and entertainment industry.
That's huge. And so, as you all know, we have an artist that was brought on through a grant to really look at how do we communicate using more of a creative and artistic perspective. And so it's really great to see how the city has really just embraced art and culture, and to show that with the $200,000 allocation. So if you are an artist, tap in, an artist in D2, there is money coming. There is money coming, $200,000. So that's huge.
Yep.
Yeah, but I unfortunately think that's all the time we have for now. So thank you so much, Mikel, for joining us for our last episode of the season. And thank you all for vibing with us. We hope that you can follow us on Instagram, subscribe to our YouTube, and check out our webpage. And we will be back for season 2 in September.
Yeah, thanks to everybody that watched this first season, all 10 of you. We're going to come back, and we have some great ideas for next year. So thanks for vibing with us.
Sacramento in the house.
Peace.